to do that. All right. So for anyone who didn't know, there are a couple of videos out. Everyone, for some reason, every time it's a new expansion, especially with the Heidelin Zodiac arc ending, everyone always says, is it the end of 14's story? No. There's the simple answer. No. Yoshi P even said, like, they're going to continue going on with things. The only reason that they're ending what they're doing right now is because they don't want the story to be exhausted, and they want people to still enjoy playing and enjoy the MSQ. So we're going to watch these videos. There's two of them that I wanted to look at. This is the Zeppelin one. The other one is the work to game video that they posted. But again, no. And actually, let me start this up.
New Year's celebration. Naoki Yoshida has sent us a New Year's greeting letter, a New Year's message here. And I felt like it was a bit ominous, a bit concerning. Like, I don't know if it's really concerning or if I'm overreacting. I feel like it's very likely that I'm overreacting.
You're overreacting. Because 90... Sorry, I just have to put this... Like, because 90% of what they said is just that, like, they're inspired by other people. Like, they're inspired by the people that are, like, going into these hospitals and nursing homes every day and dealing with this stuff, and they feel bad that they haven't been able to be on the schedule that they've had previously because of COVID. But people sent in all of these letters, and they said, the only thing that's really getting me through this right now and making me feel better is being able to play this game and going into this fantasy world and hanging out with all of these different people. Which means that they're amped up to do even more. So I wouldn't say, I would not be,
wherever you want.
I wouldn't be worried. I definitely wouldn't be worried. If anything, thank you so much for the follow. If anything, I'd be excited. If anything, I'd be like, this means that they're going to buckle down, and next expansion, which is one of the biggest things that I've been nervous about, is I've been unsure. Thank you. Holy crap, 37 months. Thank you so much. And it is a really sweet letter. And I get Zepla's concern, and I get how much she loves the game, so I understand her, like, being upset. Thank you so much for the follow. Her being upset and wanting to discuss it with her fans and her friends. But this would make me think, okay, like, they received all of these letters, they're getting back on schedule, they're doing what they can, like, they're going to be even more inspired to release amazing content. And like I said, one of the things that I was most nervous about was that I didn't know how they could top Shadowbringers, or even have, an expansion story, a 0.0 story that was just as good. So that was the only thing that I've been worried about. And I've thought about doing a video about it, but I didn't want to be another one of those people that's like, can they top the Shadowbringers story? So I don't know. We'll see. But I really don't think that there's cause for concern, regardless.
Acting, because I do that all the time. And I have anxiety. So
yeah,
it doesn't take a lot to get me distressed. But I think it's best, like, first I'll read the letter, and then we'll talk about it. We'll talk through it. Okay. It's a New Year's greeting message. So this is supposed to be lighthearted. It's supposed to make you feel good about the future and optimistic and stuff. So
it wasn't lighthearted for me at all. I read it and thought it was a super sweet letter, and I read it on stream and I teared up. I actually literally highlighted it and thought about turning that into a YouTube video on its own because I read it and I was tearing up when I read it.
I feel like I probably am overreacting. Let's just read it. Hello, this is producer and director Naoki Yoshida wishing all of you Warriors of Light a happy new year. 2020 was a year that won't soon be forgotten, and I mean that not only for our development and operations teams, but also for our players and indeed the entire world. Even now, the threat of COVID-19 continues to present us with unprecedented daily challenges, the likes of which we only knew about through history books. Yeah, tell me about it. I just found out that 3 people in my family have tested positive for COVID, and another person in my immediate family very likely could have it, and also I'm worried about my grandparents could possibly have it. So I'm pretty stressed still. I mean, so far, 2021 feels like more of the same. But
Yeah, so far, I'll agree with that. And my parents actually just got over it as well. And there was someone, I don't remember who it was, but my mom did tell me about someone that I'd gone to school with whose parents were affected as well. And I think one of them actually passed away, so that was really sad as well. You teared up when you read it too? Oh. Exactly, Ren. Like, sure, it might concern some people, but it's gonna be a good story. It's definitely gonna be a good story, but it's concerning. I don't know. Did he? Did he react on that? Because that would be really sad, and I don't know if that's something I could even watch, to be fair.
things might get better, hopefully sooner rather than later. In the midst of this adversity, we're determined to provide you with a source of entertainment while remaining mindful that our team members too have their own families and are facing the same hardships as everyone else. Setting up stable working environments and figuring out how to get on with things was, I think, a common experience for a great many people. And through it all, we've received messages of support from a truly staggering number of players. When things get rough, it is your voices which spur us on and keep us moving forward. We thank you for all of your thoughtful words of encouragement.
That right there. They literally say that is, you know, what's keeping them going and what's making their schedules more regular. And then she's going to read it, so I want to see what her reaction is when she reads it. But it literally says, and this is one of the things in my highlight, that when I read this out loud to you guys, that I mentioned, and I was like, I can't believe Yoshi P felt like he had to say this, but he did. It literally says, keep a close eye on the team's progress this year as events build once more to a thrilling and unexpected ending to the story, not to 14 itself, because he knew that everyone was going to start freaking out for what he said. So it's just funny. So I want to see what she actually says when she gets there, because, like, it's right there.
Adapting to the obstacles of COVID-19 is an ongoing struggle, but we remain committed to developing and running Final Fantasy XIV to the best of our ability. So where do we stand? The saga of Shadowbringers concluded in patch 5.3 and hinted at the next story to come. But of course we had patch 5.4, which then flipped the page to the final chapter in the tale of this star. Yes, I remember that. And I think that I chose to ignore that when I first saw it on screen. I remember I saw that on screen. It said, like, this is the final chapter. And I was like, that's weird. I just, like, went on to continuing the story, like, enjoying the rest of the story. It's like I blocked it out because I didn't want to...
She's so riled up. She's so freaking adorable, but she's so riled up over nothing. Like, I know how much she loves the game. I really get it. But, I mean, in this star, because we're on the final chapter in the tale of this star. Like, you're going back. Aw. It's so cute. It would be fun if it dealt with the Sunderdassians. It's the chapter for this star. It's like what we've discussed with, like, the connection between the source and the first. Because even though technically we're not on the first anymore, there are still things that are happening because of what we went through on the first. So I just thought it was cute that she's like, the end to this star? I didn't think anything of it before and now. And I'm sitting there going, what do you mean? It's fine. Calm down.
Contemplate that as a possibility. What do you mean, final chapter? Keep a close eye on the team's progress this year as events build once more to a thrilling and unexpected ending. And here's the most important part in this whole letter. To the story, not to Final Fantasy XIV itself. To the story, not to Final Fantasy XIV itself. We'll talk more about that.
That is what he said.
Let's finish with the letter. I'd barely finished typing this when I had an unannounced visitor. A minstrel, as he introduced himself, on a journey from faraway lands. He's, of course, referencing the Wandering Minstrel, which is Yoshida's, like, self-insert character into the game. He placed a note into my hands, and it had this poem written on it. Our progeny may never know wherefore we look unto the sky, nor why we dig for truths below. We bear their scorn or watch them die. So our progeny, meaning like our children, our descendants, they will never know why we look onto the sky or in the ground. So they'll never know why. They'll never know what we know. They'll never know the things that we know. Okay, so they don't know our story. We bear their scorn. Okay, so they don't know what we know. And they're mad about it. And we have to put up with them being mad about it, or we'll watch them die. We'll telling them whatever secrets we know. Kill them somehow? What do you mean watch them die? I don't know. I don't really know.
I don't feel like, I don't think, I know she's trying to translate it or go through it word for word. And I know that she was a teacher or a professor. But I think this poem is literally just another way to depict the lyrics and answers. Like, for those who walked before and for those who walked after. Like, it literally just sounds like another way to say that. But in more of an upset way, or like something is going to happen to the people who aren't following in those footsteps. Yeah, you know what I mean though. Like I feel like that's more of what it could be depicting. You know what I mean? Rather than like literal sky, literal ground, literal progeny, literal like truths. I think it's more of like, yeah, overanalyzing's fun. Exactly.
That's kind of where it lost me. It makes me feel confused. Who is the resolute man anyway? The resolute man is not the wandering minstrel. The minstrel is just the messenger. Who is the resolute man? Who would say such a thing? Who is this resolute man? And what is this about his progeny scorning him? I turned to put these questions to the traveler, but he was gone, vanished, as if swallowed into a rift between worlds.
As if swallowed into a rift between worlds.
Into a rift between worlds. While we could ponder the meaning of this verse and make a few guesses, the upcoming Final Fantasy XIV announcement showcase planned for February might help us make more sense out of it as the day draws near and we make our preparations. I'm as excited
What are we going to do for that, by the way? What day is that? Is it the 5th? Is it the 6th? What days are the 5th and the 6th? What are we going to do for that, you guys?
Wherever you want.
The 5th and the 6th, so a Friday and a Saturday. Should we do something fun? Should we stream it? Should we stream the event? What should we do?
I'll help you level wherever
I
you
think
want.
that'd be fun. And thank you so much for the follows, guys. Side story, it would be hard to acquire. Yeah. Yeah, we should. Find where the Charlayans went to. That would be cool. I want to know more about, instead of just like the white mage, the white mage class quest, I want to know more about the Pagel. And even more about like where they've come from and like what their purpose is and why they're in Gridania and why, you know, they're all like so in tune with nature. Like it would be, there are a lot of things that they could expand on that they haven't expanded on yet. So I just don't understand why everyone thinks the game is going to end.
Is anyone to see what this event has in store? What are you talking? Yeah, you know what the event has in store. You're Yoshida. You know what's in store. You're planning it. Meanwhile, we're entering our 11th year of operation since the original release of Final Fantasy XIV. The development and running of an MMORPG is an incredibly difficult undertaking, and the larger in scale they are, the fewer of them survive beyond the 10-year mark. It's thanks to you, our Warriors of Light, and your inexhaustible enthusiasm that we've reached this amazing milestone. Oh, don't be so shy, Yoshida. Like it's you.
Yeah.
You did it. You saved it. You saved us. Please continue to lend us your support, and we'll do our utmost to reward your passion for the game with captivating stories. I'm going to highlight this too. And high adventure. Stories. More stories. Not just this one that is apparently ending, but stories as in future extra stories in the future. More stories. Not end. Not end. New ones. Lastly, I'd like to
Yes.
address a
New
slightly
ones,
different
sweetie.
topic.
New
As the
ones.
battle against COVID-19 rages on, one of the toughest jobs falls on our healthcare workers who risk themselves on the front lines to care for the infected and shield the rest of us from harm. Amongst the words of encouragement we received, there were many messages from these self-same workers that were both heartfelt and heartbreaking. No matter how tough things get, I can always see my friends in Final Fantasy XIV. It gives me the strength to face the next day. Please keep it up. We need this. If anyone should be grateful for something,
I teared up reading this myself. And I might actually tear up from this too. Sub jobs, maybe eventually. But like, they're just so freaking sweet, man. This is like the sweetest dev team ever. It's literally the sweetest dev team ever. And just, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So. No, I don't want to. Yeah, God tears, seriously. Okay, back to this.
it's us. Thank you for everything you do. You work under enormous stress, but despite all the sacrifices you make, some people still treat you with disrespect, and it's unforgivable. Sometimes you must wonder why you work so hard when you encounter those who clearly don't appreciate it. But you can't carry the world on your shoulders. Our earnest comments may not affect you as keenly as one pointed and thoughtless remark, but know that you always have our gratitude and support. Allow me to offer you that at the very least. We will keep doing all we can, and I hope our efforts give you reason to smile in these difficult times. What a class act. That was really, I really appreciated the nod to the healthcare workers who are on the front lines still as the battle against COVID rages on still a year later.
Aw, thank you so much for the gift sub. Thank you.
That were shared here, like, it gives me.
And yeah, this is probably the sweetest thing, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It really is. I know, I love that picture too. It's adorable. And hey, Ghost, what's up? But thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it. All right, let's go back to this.
Strength to face the next day. I can always see my friends in Final Fantasy XIV. Like, it echoes a lot of what I heard from y'all in the previous video that I released, where I asked y'all, like, how did Final Fantasy XIV help you get through 2020? And it just shows you how big of a positive impact this game can have in people's lives, and how the relationships that you make in the game and these bonds that you build make this experience of being in Final Fantasy XIV add up to somehow more than the sum of its parts.
I love how many cuts were there. Like, you can tell she just like rambled on and on and on and was trying to cut all of this stuff and put it in the video that actually like kind of slowed down and made sense. But like, you can tell with all of those little like that she probably just kept like rambling with a million different thoughts and had to edit it down. That's so cute. Hey, Halraz, it's been a while. What's up?
So with that in mind, I don't think that you would, in a New Year's message, be like, hey, so we've heard how important Final Fantasy XIV is to you and how it's been a lifeline for you, and so we're gonna announce the end of I don't think that's the purpose of this letter. I think it's teasing. Yeah. It is teasing hard. The event that we're gonna be expecting in February, where we will be getting a lot of information about 6.0, I assume. I mean, who knows what all will be in that. I'll pull up this slide here that we got regarding the announcement showcase. It's going to be on Friday, February 5th at 5:30 p.m. PST. Now, if you're in
7:30,
Europe, that will be start actually mean. Now, I did make a video a while back about the end of Final Fantasy XIV and sort of just looking into comments that Yoshida had made in the past that made me feel like, yes, this tale about Hydaelyn and Zodiark will end, but there will likely be a new tale, like a new story after that. So I'm just going to reference a couple of interviews here. This is an interview that was posted on a JP blog on June 5th, 2020, in which Yoshida had been, well, this is a translation sourced from the Final Fantasy 14 subreddit Discord server where they provide a lot of unofficial translations. So thank y'all for doing that. Yoshida said the ending / finale of the main story scenario is already decided. Hydaelyn and Zodiark arc. So please look forward to it. Just because the Hydaelyn Zodiark arc ends doesn't mean the end of Final Fantasy 14. There will be a new story arc beyond this. So that's what I think.
And that's not the only time he said it. That's what I'm saying. Like, he said that he didn't want to exhaust the story. It's just like the end to the Ascian story, which correlates with Zodiark and Hydaelyn. Like, there's going to be more.
Alluding to. And in an interview with Kotaku that happened at E3 in 2017, Yoshida said, and this was right after the release of Stormblood, there's this overarching story, and I've actually set a goal or endpoint for that arc. That's one of the things I want to accomplish, is to be able to finish that narrative. How long will that be? Said the interviewer. Yoshida said, I think we'd need at least another 2 more expansions. And so he said that right after Stormblood released, and that would make sense that 6.0 would actually be the final chapter in the star. But what lies beyond that? Do they want to actually make a new story arc within Final Fantasy XIV, or would they want to make a new Final Fantasy MMO that takes the new story from there?
Yes. It's not even one or the other. The answer is yes. There's going to be a new story arc in 14. But there's also going to be a new Final Fantasy MMO eventually, because this has worked out so well for them. They're not just going to get rid of the MMO. So, yes. The answer is yes.
I don't think that they would end the story of Final Fantasy 14 altogether without giving us a new MMO to move to, sort of like what happened with Final Fantasy 11, which is still running and still getting content updates, but of course many of those players moved on to Final Fantasy 14. Would the same thing happen again? Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind. I would actually welcome a new shiny MMO without the spaghetti code that gets referenced so often. As long as I can be a bunny girl, as long as I can still, like, maybe somehow copy my character into the new MMO, I would be happy for that. But that's all wild speculation. Like,
and as long as it was the same team.
I think that it's way more likely that we will just get a new story arc. Don't go watching this video and then run to your friends and say, "Oh, Zeppela said there's going to be a new MMO. Zeppela said it's the end of Final Fantasy 14." I didn't say that. Okay, we're brainstorming what could happen with the future of the story.
Right.
I think that we might find the answers to those questions in the February announcement showcase, because there is no reason that he would mention all of these things so specifically without...
Yeah, they wouldn't bring... I'm saying that I didn't mean time... Like, I wasn't trying to force a timeline. I was saying that there will be another Final Fantasy MMO. It's inevitable because of how well this has been doing, especially recently. But they still have a story that they want to tell, which will at least be a couple more expansions. So there will be either an underlying story that's just kind of like been in the background. Oh, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, Serena. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for all of the subs and gift subs and resubs. You guys are amazing. I just meant that the answer is yes. It's not one or the other. Both things will happen. I don't know what the timeline is, but there's going to be a new story within 14, and then eventually there probably will be another Final Fantasy MMO. And it probably will connect to 14, just like how 14 connects to 11. So, you know.
Knowing that in February, very soon, it's the beginning of February, like in 1 month from now, he would have the answers, or at least like some more answers for us. I genuinely don't feel like it's going to be the end of Final Fantasy 14. Like, I don't think that, because he clearly says it's the end to this particular story, not to Final Fantasy 14 itself. Mm-hmm. And that's why ending is in quotes. That's why it's in quotes, because it just means that he's kidding, and it's not really an ending. An ending to mark a new beginning. Right? The question is, where will a new story take place? I think that we might actually see part of the CGI trailer during this February...
The event. I hope so.
Thing. In the
And I hope
meantime,
we're there
I
and
will
streaming
just have
for
to
it.
ask you what you make of this letter. What's your take on final chapter in the Tale of the Star? What does that mean to you? What kind of new story arc do you think could take place? And do you think it'll take place inside Final Fantasy 14? Or do you think they would actually make a new MMO? I think that's probably I think that's a wild
Yeah.
speculation.
I wasn't saying that 11 and 14 were the same. I was saying that 14 eludes a lot of the characters, some of the story from 11. Like, certain things are brought over and used in 14. I wasn't saying that they were the same game. So, which is why it would make sense if they did like an 18 or whatever for the next MMO, that it would be the same. Or not the same game, but it'll have a lot of connotations, a lot of the same connotations.